have quite a number of people still lagging behind, coming online or in person. And we have to respect everyone's time. So we will start right away. For those who are here, early birds, when you come early, you get the gist of everything, right? You get the cream of everything. So my name is Esther Sunday. Happy and blessed to be hosting this event today. The founder of Horizon Growth. I help families, business people understand the wealth creation process. And I just got this idea that we should bring everyone's expertise out here so that everyone can learn and benefit from each other because we carry different talents, different gifts together. And it's not just about financing, it's about everything else that comes with it. So today, our guests are prepared to share with us nuggets on what is very, very important, specifically to help the business world, but also benefit from those who are working hard out there, wanting to understand what their employers have packaged for them. And it's also important to understand that you need to go back and reevaluate what you have. So again, today, our main objective is to help us tap into the talent that you can get internationally, how you can understand your group plans. But before I do that, I just want to share something from my heart, right? So I meet with people out there and they tell me that I'm looking for a job and this job has this benefits. I don't want to quit because of these benefits. I have this one. Everybody thinks about a benefit, but the question is, what is that benefit definition in your mind? Have you ever sat down and read your contract to tell you what kind of benefits you have? And I want to help everyone understand that if you're working for someone, do yourself a favor. If you're in Canada, that's it. Call Canada uh, uh, CPP, right, pension plan, and ask them, could you please send me my statement? If I have to retire today, how will that look like? So that you can plan. I want to tell us, we were shocked last year when we asked for the same statement for my hubby, right? So then we figure out that if he has to retire, he's going to be earning almost $439 a month, right? After working for 12 years, making a good income as a nurse in this country, you have that kind of pension, right? So again, it's good to jump and say you have a pension, you are contributing, but also understanding how that plays into your retirement package is very, very important. So I want us to go back and reevaluate what we have. The other thing I want us to think about is when you have your group plan, what are the gaps? What are the gaps that come with it? Because employers don't give you everything. They try to help you with some package, but not everything is taken care of. So, for example, if you have a package that comes in group benefits, you talk about travel insurance, dental and health benefit, you talk about accidental death, you're talking about like Cairo, these special practices that come with it. What kind of percentage is covered? And then maybe you are a couple, both of you have the benefits, right? And you actually don't know how to integrate into each other's benefits. It's very important to know that you can tap into each other's benefit, and if you understand the company or the plan you have, that will help you plan better. So today I don't want to get into so much of that because Christy is our guest speaker. She's all the way in Saskatchewan, I believe.
Yes.
Is it correct?
Yes.
Or Saskatchewan, right? And she is the expert in this field. As I said, Horizon Growth is an independent company, independent broker, but within me, I have very productive product providers that work along with me, and Edge Benefit is one of those companies, right? So most of you have heard me talk about Manulife sponsoring this event last month. This month we have the Edge Benefits, we have Canada Life, we have other companies that we partner with. So you're not just talking about Esther, right? You're talking about these product providers. And for someone to come out on a weekend to share their nuggets with us is a privilege. I can't thank Christy enough, because she took time out of her schedule to come and help us understand what group benefits are. So she specializes in small businesses, and she has a lot of wisdom when it comes to understanding, if you're an employer, how do you plan something? Because group benefits have advantage on both sides. For the employer, you help your employees while you're getting some tax benefits, right? And for the employee part of it, you get retention. So it's a two-way benefit thing, and it's very important to understand how the combo connects into each other, and they complement very well to benefit us. So please help me to have Christy on the schedule. Okay, so please help me welcome our guest speaker, one and only Christy McNino. Christian, the stage is yours, and we are streaming live, so this session will be recorded, and people who are coming late will still listen to you over and over. Please share your nuggets. Again, I'm just so grateful that you took time out of your schedule to come support us here and help us understand, because again, listening from the company approach is very important. Listening from the horse's mouth is the best gist of the game. So please take it up, please. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Esther. I am so happy to be here to talk to you all about the Edge Benefits Small Business Benefits Program. So as Esther was saying, these are very, very important to employees. So as an employer, it is a benefit for you, not only for tax, but for productivity, as well as retention and attraction of new employees. And I'm going to go through some statistics after that show just the value that these benefits can bring to your business. So if we could start the slideshow, I cannot see anything right now. Perfect. All right, so we are going to talk all about, as I said, the Edge's Small Business Group Benefits. And I am the sales director in both Saskatchewan and Manitoba. So I live in Saskatchewan. I live in Weyburn, Saskatchewan, which is about an hour south of Regina. But when I tell you, I know the market in the prairies and beyond, and I know the value that these benefits can bring to your business. So we're going to get started. First slide is, first of all, who is the Edge? So many of you maybe have not heard of the Edge. So we are an independent Canadian company. We have a majority ownership that is held by the Cooperators Life Insurance Company, which I'm sure the majority of you have heard about. We at the Edge are the third-party administrator and distributor of lifestyle protection products under the brand name Edge. Okay, so we issue the policies at the Edge and we collect the premiums, but we employ top of the line insurance carriers to help us with those risks. We also focus on simplified living benefits. So living benefits, things like disability, health and dental, critical illness, things like that. Okay, and as I said, we are utilizing leading Canadian insurers who take that claim risk for us. We also at the Edge train and develop licensed advisors just like Esther. So Esther has full 24/7, well, kind of 24/7 connection to me at the Edge. Along with me, I also have a sales associate named Bree that can also reach in and assist if needed. Now, when we're talking about small business benefits, we are also employing, or we have access to, a completely, totally separate department, small business benefits department, that has an administrator that is directly linked to your small business benefits plan. So what we're saying here is we have a lot of layers of support. One of the things I hear in the industry is it's really difficult to get support through a group program, and that's simply not the case at the Edge. Next slide, please. And you can actually click through here a little. There we go. Yes, I fast talk. So first and foremost, with the Edge, some key differentiators that we're really, really proud of. And you as clients thinking about implementing these programs, it's really, really important for you to know that first and foremost, advocacy. We advocate on behalf of you, the client, as well as the advisor who is attached to you as the client, making sure that these claims are adjudicated in line with the original intent of the contract, okay? We are assisting you with the claims. We have an entire claims department that assists in those most difficult times. And we're very proud to say that we've paid over 60 million in the last 4 years alone. We're also offering comprehensive guarantee to issue. So if you've been told no before, or if you've come up to roadblocks, or you just need something simple and you don't have the time as a small business owner to deal with the underwriting process, the majority of our products are guaranteed to issue. Our illness products are underwritten. However, we utilize that simplified underwriting approach. On top of that, we're very proud of the transparency that we offer at the Edge. Our pricing is transparent and fixed, okay? Full disclosure, you have full access to definitions, exclusions, things that are very important, like Esther said, in understanding the benefits that you have. Okay, our mission, vision, and values are the foundation at the Edge. Next slide, please. So some of our insurance partners that I'm sure you've heard of. So as I said, we are majority owner, or have majority ownership through the cooperators, and they take our disability products. So loss of income and business overhead expense. Green Shield has our health and dental, both individual and the small business benefits plans that I'm going to talk about today. Chubb takes our special risk line. So our critical illness, our simplified life product, accidental death and dismemberment, as well as fracture accident coverage. And then Beneva has our standalone travel products. Okay, so you've probably heard of a lot of these insurance partners. Next slide, please. Thank you. So let's dive right into some statistics about small business employees. So this is really important when we're talking about the value that a benefits program can bring to your business. Not only is there a tax break involved, right? You're offering employee benefits, but you also offer stability within your business, attracting great new talent and holding on to the great talent that you already have. As Esther said, some people will be looking for benefits. They will leave a job in search of one that has the same workload for benefits. I'm going to show you some pretty staggering statistics. So Blue Cross did a survey, and it is showing that employees put a higher emphasis on the value of health benefits programs than pay raises. 41% would rather have a benefits program over a $25,000 a year raise. Now, I don't know about you, but that nearly knocked me out of my chair. That is a staggering statistic. 50% of employees would rather have health benefits over a $10,000 raise. So when we're thinking about attracting new employees, oftentimes we default to, I have to increase. I can't afford to increase how much I pay people. But you can implement a benefits program, and it's going to have just as much, if not more value than increasing the wage by $25,000. Now, 80% of employees, as Esther was saying, would consider health benefits before accepting a new role, and 73% would stay at their current employer, even if they were offered more money elsewhere or had a different type of plan, just to hold those benefits. and 76% would leave their current job in favor of an employer that offered a benefits package. Okay, on top of that, attracting and retaining, we also want to think about productivity. So anybody who doesn't have, or a business that doesn't have a benefits program in force, is at risk for lower employee productivity. So if we've got kids that need glasses or dental work, or we've got a sore back, or we need to go to physiotherapy, all of these things are going to result in sick time, anger, and disappointment in employees with their employer because they need these things and they don't have access to them. Okay, next slide, please. So when we're talking about our small business benefits programs, we don't specialize in one industry, so to say. It's realistically here to suit any small to mid-sized business. Now we need a minimum of 3, and I'm going to go over the provisions and the rules, so to say, in a little while. But realistically, it's any occupation. Our conversations and the offerings might change depending on what your business is, but really we are here and we are designed to help any small to mid-sized business. So whether that be restaurant, bakery, franchises like Mr. Subs or Booster Juices, or maybe butcher shops, roofing companies, construction companies, landscaping, schools, massage therapy, whatever it is, if you have a small to mid-sized business, we may be able to help you. Next slide, please. So again, not a specific industry, but are you newer in business? I know that a lot of group carriers require a specific amount of time in business before they will even offer you a quote. That's simply not the case with Edge. We know the value it brings to your small business to have this, and we know how difficult it is to continue to run a business if you cannot offer benefits to your employees. Alongside with you as yourself, do not have the umbrella of a group benefits program when you are self-employed. This will protect you as well as your employees. High family content. We run into a lot of family-run businesses, and this is a roadblock for traditional group insurance. Again, simply not the case with Edge. It doesn't matter. You can have 100% family content, and we can still offer group programs. Medium to high-risk occupations. A lot of times, medium to high-risk occupations will not be offered health and dental, and if they are, they will not have the option to offer a disability or loss of income program. The great thing with the Edge is we have no worries about high-risk occupations for health and dental, and everything else beyond that is customizable. So we can curate a plan for your specific business, no matter the industry you are in. Maybe you have part-time workers and you've been told no because traditional group or other carriers require a minimum amount of hours before we can allow benefits. Again, not the case with the Edge. Who are we to say that your employee that only works part-time isn't just as valuable to your business? We again know that this could be a new business and it's a small business where you as the owner are wearing a lot of hats. You need support. If you want to offer benefits to that employee, we are not going to say no. Okay? Perhaps you already have a really great health and dental plan, but you weren't offered loss of income because of occupation or whatever it might be. Maybe there were people in there that weren't attractive. On the flip side, we can come in with additional products in a group setting, and you can keep those health and dental rates. Okay. And then when we come across, or when you come across in a traditional plan, I'm going to talk about renewals, a high renewal, then we can discuss health and dental. So it's not all or nothing with the Edge. We have a lot of flexibility and customizability working with you as the owner to get something that works for you. We are not a one size fits all. There's a lot of flexibility and customizability. In fact, our motto is simple, flexible, and affordable. And when you're working with Esther, she can work with me and we can create plans that fit needs and budget. There's always room to grow. Now, of course, the most important thing, and we're going to talk about this later, and you're going to get me nerdy excited because I love this so much, but it's the stability that our programs offer your small business. Because we know the difficulties that traditional group structures create for small businesses. Traditional group is not a pooled product. It is an experience-based plan, meaning that if you have someone or a couple people in that plan that are utilizing this plan as they should, or maybe someone is diagnosed with a serious condition and they need expensive medications and they need a lot of paramedical, whatever it might be, that experience can really negatively impact your rates. And we have seen rates increase into the 100% for 1 year of usage. With our pooled program, 100% nationally pooled, we create forecastability and stability with our rate renewals. And our average increase over the last 7 years is 4%. It's actually just a little bit under 4%. So I always say comfortably forecast between 5 and 10% yearly for those renewal increases, and you are going to be safe. Likely we're going to come under. But 10% minimum is industry average in traditional group a lot of times in experience-based plans, specifically with small businesses. Now, this isn't the case with larger businesses, but remember, at the Edge, we're focusing in on small to medium-sized businesses. And lastly, flexible, affordable solutions. As I said, we offer customizability within our group plans, and we can work together to find a structure that works for your needs as well as your budget. Next slide, please. All right, let's dive into our market-leading small business benefits health and dental plan. Now, I'm going to mention we see a lot of other carriers running out of the small business space, and Edge is leaning in. We are not introducing ourselves into the larger market, the 50+ market. We are very, very happy and comfortable in the small to mid-sized market. So let's talk about our program offering. Next slide, please. Perfect. So some requirements. We need an employee-employer relationship. Okay, so there's got to be T4 income. We need employee-employer relationship. We need a minimum of 3 policies in order to waive the underwriting on the drug upgrade and give access to our highest level of coverage that comes with some other benefits included. Now, the structures are the same. We just add some, let's call them rewards for groups of 3 or more. Coverage is mandatory for all employees. So we require 100% participation unless an employee has a spouse that already has coverage. Then they can waive that, but we still need a minimum of 3 policies. Now, when we say coverage is mandatory, what we mean by this is we don't allow you to go in and say, okay, employees, hands up, who wants it, who doesn't. Please remember that this benefits plan is going to likely outlast the group of employees that you have now. You're going to be adding new people. People will leave. There's dynamics to this. This is a business decision for you. Remember, this is a tax write-off, and you're using it not just for present employees, but also attracting new ones. So this is something that is your decision that's going to get filtered out to employees. Of course, if they have a spouse that already has coverage, we do not make them double up. Okay, but we can't have, like I said, hands up, who wants it, who doesn't. Now, because of that, we do require the employer or you as the owner pick up a minimum of 50% of that health and dental premium. Remember, this is a tax write-off as an employee benefit for you. If you feel like you want to increase this amount for your employees, you absolutely can. We do have businesses that will pay anywhere between 50 and 100% of the health and dental. It's up to you as the business owner, creating, again, customizability for you and flexibility. We will submit 100% of the premium on the first of every month. So you pay 100% of the premium. Now you as the owner remit 50% of the health and dental and 100% of any additional products that we add to that plan from payroll deductions, making sure you're only paying 50% of the health and dental premium. We have customizability, so additional products can be added, but note that those are owned by the employee. Therefore, they should be 100% paid for via a payroll deduction, so they do not become a taxable benefit. So if we're allowing that very, very valuable loss of income coverage for your employees, we don't want that benefit, if they should ever need it, to be taxed. So we want it to come off of their payroll, which your payroll department, your accountant is going to be very familiar with. Now, health and dental must be the same for each class. Say you have 10 employees and 3 of those are managers. What we can do is we can give 3 managers a higher level of coverage and employees, regular employees, a reduced coverage to help you budget and to customize. Or maybe you have a group of part-time that you really want to eventually be full-time. We can create an attractiveness. When you move from this amount of hours into this amount of hour group, we'll give you a higher level of coverage. So again, we can work with you and your business to decide what is the best case scenario. And we do have additional add-on products. Again, like I was saying, those are 100% paid for by the employee via payroll deductions. But really great for you as the owner. If you need loss of income protection, business overhead protection, we can put that into the plan, and it isn't mandatory to have that for other employees if you don't want to offer it. Next slide, please. So how it works. The rates are age banded. So our first age band is 18 to 44. And then from then, every 10 years, we go into a new age band. Now, rates will slightly increase with each age band, as does the risk. Okay, now this is for health and dental. So let's say someone has a birthday and they go from 44 to 45 in July. They're going to get a slight increase. Our renewal happens October 1st every year. So the entire plan will then receive that increase October 1st. Okay, next slide, please. Now, again, fully pooled. This is very, very important when we're talking about small to mid-sized businesses, because this means we do not review the claims experience of your individual business group. Rather, we focus on the entire block of business that the Edge carries with Green Shield. So we get to use an almost $40 million block of business and leverage that with Green Shield when we're talking about rate renewals. This means we get to create stability and forecastability between 5 and 10% every year. We live very comfortably in there. And a lot of times, the majority of times, we're under the 5% increase, the average being 4% in the last 7 years. Next slide, please. So, are traditional plans pooled? No, more often than not. And we hear this with things like the chamber plans. A portion is pooled. The Edge is 100% nationally pooled. Again, creating stability and forecastability. Now, if you already have a plan in force that says it's pooled and you want to see if the Edge can add value, again, transparency is very important to us. Let's make sure Esther has your current information, billing statement, and renewal document. I will do a free comparison and I will do a side-by-side comparison, and we will see, can we add value with the Edge? If we cannot, we will let you know what your plan holds and where it is different and why we may not be able to add value at this time. Again, if it's not a pooled plan, the next year is a very big deal. We could see high increases in that year, and then the next year we might be able to add value through a lower rate or stability with our program in those rates if you're seeing volatility year after year. Next slide, please. So I'm gonna, it's enough for me to say it, but this is our history over the last 7 years. Okay? Look at the zeros in here. And what these zeros tell us is when the market doesn't warrant an increase, we don't give you one just because. We pass savings along to you as an Edge client. Just because we can increase something doesn't mean we will. And this is a really clear indicator. Okay, next slide, please. So I know this is really difficult to see. However, I have provided all of this information to Esther. If you are interested in seeing a deeper breakdown, I am going to go through it in some slides, but if you want to see this side-by-side comparison, she does have this along with all the information needed to gather so we can see what this looks like for your business. Okay, so next slide, please. High-level recap. So this is what our plan designs look like. We have different options, but again, we can create customizability. So option number 1 is basic health and dental. You are just starting your business out, but you want to implement something. Remember, you can always grow with us while your business is growing. So basic health and dental. Then option 2, and you'll notice on proposals, we always highlight the basic health and dental and we break everything else out. Now, the second level we have is 3 optional upgrades: a drug upgrade, a dental upgrade, and a health upgrade. Customizability means you can pick basic health and do a drug upgrade only, or all 3 upgrades, or just the dental, or just the health. So through conversations, we're going to ask you some questions that allow us to understand where value is for you in a benefits plan. If you have a group of 22-year-olds that aren't on a lot of medications, we can save you some premium by not doing that drug upgrade if it doesn't make sense for your business. Okay? Now, there is no underwriting, remember, when we hit a group of 3 or more. And what that means is if you have medications you're already taking, those are automatically covered within this group plan. Now, option 3 is basic health and dental, and then all 3 of those upgrades turbocharged into a premier plan. Now, being very frank with you, in our prairie provinces, 99% of our business owners go with this premier upgrade. It is the best bang for your buck, so to speak. There is so much value, and it is under 10% more than a fully upgraded plan. So it's a very small difference, and I'm going to show you the amount of extra coverage that comes with that premier upgrade and why it's so attractive to business owners when they're looking for benefits for their employees. Next slide, please. All right. So, pardon me, I'm getting over a bit of a cold. So if I sound crazy, that is why. So let's take a look at some comparisons between the drug upgrade plan and the premier. So you'll notice right away, this premier plan has 2.5 times the drug coverage of an upgraded plan. So we have 90% copay with both plans. However, in the premier, we are starting in year 1 coverage beyond what we get in year 3 coverage of that upgraded plan. Remember, there is no underwriting, so all pre-existing medications will be covered with both of these, but you have a much higher limit within the premier plan. Now you'll notice, and I've said this a few times, we can grow with you, and we know that your business is consistently growing. So what happens is within the first 3 years, every year we give you a higher amount of coverage, making sure that we're growing with you as your business grows. Next slide, please. Perfect. Now, extended health. So professional services, this is what everybody wants. Massage, chiro, naturopath, acupuncture. That is our professional services. You'll notice we increase the per visit limit. Now, I want to talk about this per visit limit to the owners for 1 second. Now, remember, this is a nationally pooled plan. So our goal with this plan is stability within rates for small businesses. You'll notice we're giving $500 per year for massage, $500 for chiro, $500 for naturopath. The maximum for all of those is $2,000. Every visit, we're going to pay $50 of that massage. I know massages do not cost $50. But as an owner standpoint, the goal is great coverage. They have $500 a year. But we also want to create productivity. And if someone needs to go for a regular massage or a regular chiropractor appointment, and say that is $100 a session, and most other carriers will do $300 per practitioner. If they have to go once a month, they are done and maxed out from their massage within 3 out of the 12 months of the year. What happens is probably month 6, they're like, I have no massage left. I maxed out my massage. My back is killing me. I'm mad because my plan only had $300. I'm mad because now I have to wait however many more months to get it. So what we're doing is, yes, they have to pay a little bit out of pocket, but we're creating longevity. They're going to get a year's worth of those professional services, creating happier, more productive, and healthier employees. Okay, so they get higher limits. They're stretched out through the year. Now, I really want to focus in on our vision, because nobody in the market with small to mid-sized group is offering $500 for contacts, laser, and glasses, plus $65 for the exam. So $565 with the Premier, $250 with the upgrade. So again, under 10% more premium, 2.5 times the drugs, 2 times the vision coverage. Really, really unbelievable plan. Next slide, please. All right. So these are the practitioners. Now I want to highlight on here that for psychology, social work, counseling, any of those mental health services, there is no per visit limit, and that has $1,000 combined limit. Okay, so we know that mental health is a really big epidemic, and it's a problem, and we need avenues for that. Same thing with speech therapy. If your children need speech therapy, there's no per visit. Okay, next slide, please. Oh, sorry. One of the things I should mention, we remove the need for a prescription for the first massage. With the basic and the upgraded plan, that first massage does require a prescription to make sure that it is a therapeutic need. What our carriers don't want is, say, someone going for a hot stone massage by someone who happens to be registered. That's not very therapeutic, and it's not going to create productivity if they've got back issues, things like that. We want to make sure that these are therapeutic. However, removing that in the Premier plan. Sorry, now next slide. All right, dental component. So our basic services, we're increasing, again, all the way up to $2,000 in year 3. Okay, 80% copay still. Next slide, please. Comprehensive services, again, increase the copay, and every year they're moving up. Year 1, we're starting at year 3 plus limits from the upgrade. So a lot higher in the comprehensive dental as well. Next slide, please. Now, big thing, major services are covered in year 3 of that Premier plan. Major services skyrocket premiums. Okay, they are one of the things that create a really high premium. With the nature of our plan, what we do is we allow that in year 3. So we make sure that you don't get hit with that high increase of premium because of major services. Okay, so we allow it in year 3. Next slide, please. Now, all of that information, I hope you're excited. I hope you're like, whoa, what does this look like for my business? But maybe you're thinking, wow, this seems like a lot of work. And I promise you, there is nobody in the benefits market that is making it as easy as the Edge. And we can do that because of the guaranteed issue nature of our products. So all I need from you as the owner, in order to get customized proposals, that I am happy to partner with Esther and explain our program during a meeting. We can do a one-on-one meeting together. I can answer questions. I can make changes. Okay, so this is all I need. I need an employee identification. So whether that's their name, their initials, an employee number, employee 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you want, some sort of differentiating factor. And I need a date of birth. Date of birth is very important. What we can't do is just have, okay, I have 7 35-year-olds. Okay, so we need date of birth plus their family status and gender. Now, if there's an issue with gender, we do have an option for other. So if someone doesn't want to divulge that information, that's okay. We can just put other. Family status, please note the Edge offers couple rates. This is another very special feature. A lot of other carriers only have single or family. So let's think about our employees who no longer have kids in the home and don't require a family rate. Maybe they don't have children yet. Again, they don't require a family rate, or my favorite, single parent, one child. Let's save them premium. On the flip side, if we have large families, it does not matter. Any policy that has 3 people or more is a family rate, whether they have 4 kids or 14 children. Now, residency status, it is no problem for us to offer coverage to someone who is here on a valid work permit. We just need to identify that on the sheet because we will ask for that valid work permit during the enrollment process. We do not need it before, it is just during the enrollment process. Now, I will mention that the Edge bundle discounts, and we can offer your employees as well as yourself $1,000 of loss of income coverage that's nearly free for every occupation because it creates a discount on the health and dental. Now, as I said, we offer customizability. So if you are in an industry that requires loss of income protection for you, yourself, or your employees, please put your income and occupation, rough income and occupation. We can always dive deeper into this so we can show you what you're eligible for and what that cost would be. There is never a need to take it. Remember, we're flexible as well as affordable. Okay, next slide, please. That's it. So as I said, Esther has all of the information that you can take a deeper dive. And if you're interested, please send in that Excel sheet to Esther. I always work through her. So if you have questions, please direct them to her. We can connect. And if you're interested in seeing what this looks like for your business, or if you want a comparison, if you have something in force now and you want to see if a pooled program is a better fit for you, I am happy to do those free comparisons. Please note our pricing is fixed. There is no impact on your premiums. When I see those billing statements, I can send you a rate guide and you can see exactly what pricing is for Edge. Transparency. Okay, so thank you very much. I am so appreciative that you allowed me the time to speak about Edge benefits. It is a passion of mine. It is so important, and I think it is a wonderful way to help you solidify an absolutely wonderful business where you get to stay in your zone of genius and we take care of the things that might hurt your head a little bit. So thank you again and have a wonderful day.
Wow, that was powerful. Can we clap for Christy? So, Christy, before you go, I would just need to make sure that nobody has a question, or if there's any questions, we need to bring up those questions because I personally have questions. I still learn and I'm very excited. As you can see, she's very passionate with what she does. If there's an expert in small business, is her. Like she will talk, and she will make sense of everything. So as a business owner, we have a lot of headaches. And one of the headaches is retention. If you cannot retain your employees just because you don't understand group benefit, this is why we brought this session here, so that you can ask questions. And one of the things that I took out, Christy, from your conversation is you don't have to have that big set of employee in your office. You know, a husband and a wife and one employee, you make 3.
Absolutely.
You qualify for group benefits, right? So, and she says 3 employees in your business do not qualify for underwriting. Like you don't need any underwriting. Can you imagine people who smoke and they have to make the premiums go up? And in that pool, now you just ride swiftly because you qualify to get a package without going through underwriting. What a product that is, right? Now, there's also something you spoke about that I hear over and over, and this is when it comes to extended healthcare. Friends, I want to help us understand. Extended healthcare professional services provided by registered therapists is an issue. If you have a group plan and you don't understand what kind of package you have, you need to reevaluate that. I was looking at chiropractic and all these services up to 750 a year combined, and all that dental. You need to check, because some people have limitation. You can't go for a certain number of massage, certain number. Some people don't have speech therapist in their plan, and their kid is not speaking and they want to use it, so they have to chip into their pocket just because they didn't understand that. So do yourself some favor and evaluate what you have. And then the other thing is emergency travel. I cannot emphasize this enough. I want to help us understand, when you leave Manitoba to go to Ontario, or Ontario to go to the States, or Canada entirely to travel overseas, make sure you call your group plan to find out, how much coverage do I have for this trip? Very, very important. Now, on this one, the number of days is very critical. Some plans cover 5 days, 7 days, 9 days, and you're out of the country for a month. So you're assuming you have a group plan taking care of your benefit, yet when something happened there, you're more than the expected time, then you're stranded over there. It's very important to pay attention to that. Now, emergency services happening while you're traveling is a reality, right? I have a client who traveled to the States, and then they had some illness happening. They had some blood pressure, which led to issues with the heart, and they got admitted, and the bill just dropped from 0 to 800,000 US dollars. And now they don't know what to do. You went to visit someone, and now you come back with the bill, where is it coming from? How do you pay that? Simply because you didn't pay attention to something that you would have paid maybe $9, $10, $20 to travel and have that peace of mind. Peace of mind is what Chris is talking about. How can we give you a peace of mind? So make sure you pay attention to those things, and reevaluate what you have. The last thing I wanted to just emphasize is the tax relief as a business owner. Remember, you want to do an expense that makes sense to your business. This is one of those productive expenses you want, right? I know people writing off their car and all that stuff, but you're running around because somebody quit, right? If you can pay a deductible and make someone feel that they can work for you, because in her statistics, she said people will decline an offer just because the benefit the other side is making sense. Even though you're offering $2 more, people are just stuck with the benefits. So if you are a small business person and you can get a small benefit, even if it's a dental benefit for your people, if you have prescription medication, again, check your group benefit, how much you have, because that is also critical. When you get these critical illnesses and you have less than 5,000 or 5,000 and the bill go to more, then there's an issue, right? So that's why we merge with Christy and make sure that we evaluate what you have if you're an employee and see the gaps that we can fit in. Or if you're an employer, what are you looking to start helping your employees with? So that was the summary I got from that. Is anybody having a question for Christy before she goes? Any question from the room? From online? No. Thank you so much, Christy, for the great presentation. We appreciate your time as always, and we'll be getting back to you to learn more about what else Edge provides.
Perfect. I am here for anyone who wants to see what the plan looks like, and thank you again for having me.
Thank you. So we are transitioning in the second phase of this. Do we need a 2 minutes break? Or we just flow? What do you think? Anybody wants a 1 2 minute break? No? We go. Okay, so we move, right? So we are switching gears, and now I want to get to a different aspect or different subject entirely, but that everybody has been asking me, can you please bring a speaker to help us understand? I have this construction business. I'm having issues to hire Canadian. Nobody wants to work for me. How can I tap into an international talent? People are asking those questions. And those people who are here visiting and they're trying to integrate into that, they're wondering, who is this employer that is looking for me, right? So an employer is looking for someone who is not visible, right? And today we have an expert in the room, an expert that talks the language of immigration. If you think about headache, I am one of those people who have headache. When I hear immigration and the statistics and the government is doing this and this change and this change, it's like you're doing this and something happened. So this lady is on top of her game when it comes to labor market impact assessment for employers, specifically in this session. But again, that's why you book appointment to talk to her one-on-one if you are an employee looking for those services or you're an employer looking for those services, right? So I'm very privileged and humbled today to welcome my own sister from my other mother, right, in the room. So she's not online. She's the founder of Markland Immigration. She does a great job, and all of us know I have used her services and I can attest how much she puts into it. I tell you, when she takes your case, you have to be ready to receive her phone call because she's like this. You have to get this done. I need this, I need this, I need this. So because if we don't give what we need and we expect things to happen, it doesn't work that way, right? So it's very important to understand, if you are looking for something, what exactly are you looking for? So I don't want to get into another presentation. Please help me welcome Caroline Macau on stage, the CEO and founder of Markland Immigration. Caroline, welcome.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me. My name is Caroline Macau, as Esther has introduced me, and I'm the founder of Markland Immigration, and I'm also a licensed immigration consultant. So you can verify my credentials with this at the CICC website. So one thing about immigration is, before you even engage anybody in immigration work, you need to verify if they are licensed. So you can either be a licensed immigration consultant or a lawyer to be able to, to do any immigration work. So today we're going to talk about labor market impact assessment, which is specifically for employers. So before we start, I'll give a little overview of the program. So the labor market impact assessment is an employer-driven program. So it is not an employee-driven program, employers. So it's only employers who are, supposed to be doing the process first before, and then after they're done with the process, that's when they can pass on the positive LMIA to employees. So we can start. Move to the next. Okay. My slides look different from what I did, so just bear with me today. So a labor market impact assessment is a document that Canadian employers need before they can hire a foreign worker. So who is a foreign worker? So a foreign worker is anybody that is not a Canadian or a permanent resident. So if you are not a Canadian or a permanent resident and you intend to work in Canada, you're considered a foreign worker. So before an employer can hire you, they need to be able to get a labor market impact assessment. You can go to the next slide. So the biggest question is, who needs the LMIA? So not every scenario does an employer need to get an LMIA. There are some exceptions to the process where an employer doesn't need to get an LMIA. So if we can go to the next slide. So the first scenario where an employer needs an LMIA is if they're hiring a foreign worker. So if the employer needs to hire somebody in the construction industry and they have posted their job and nobody has applied, no Canadian or permanent resident has applied, and they want to hire, a foreign worker, somebody from a different country or somebody in Canada that doesn't have permanent residency or Canadian citizenship, they can go through the LMIA process to be able to offer that job to the foreign worker. So that's the only scenario where an employer would need to have an LMIA. So with the LMIA process, there's also exceptions to it. So what does that mean? That means scenarios where an employer doesn't need to get an LMIA to be able to hire foreign workers. So scenarios where an employer doesn't need to hire foreign workers would be, can we go to the next slide? So would be like an international mobility program. So this is, different trade agreements that Canada has with different countries. For example, the NAFTA, which is a trade agreement between US, Mexico, and Canada, which allows certain professions to be hired to come and work in Canada without the LMIA. The second option is intra-company transfers. So a Canadian company that has a branch in a different country and they want to bring in somebody to come in and work in the Canadian office, so they can do inter-company transfers and they don't need to have an LMIA. And then the third option under the International Mobility Program is post-graduation work permits. So if you're a student and you've graduated in Canada, you don't need to get an LMIA to be able to work in Canada. So that's the first scenario where an employer does not need to get an LMIA. You can go to the next slide. So the other scenario where an employer doesn't need to get an LMIA is, spouses of skilled workers or international students. There's a little caveat there because there's a few changes with the open work permit. So you'd have to go and check if the program your spouse is taking is eligible for you to be able to get an open work permit. I believe it is. Your spouse needs to be taking a master's program for you to be able to get, the open work permit. And then the third option where employers don't need to get an LMIA is, if you're hiring a refugee or asylum seeker. So if they're in Canada and they have a work permit and waiting for their hearing, you can hire them to work without an LMIA. Okay. So this is the most important question. Why would an employer need an LMIA? So one of the things that most employers are facing is retention. Like Esther said, it is difficult for employers right now to retain employees. And it could be for many reasons. One, it could be either offering low wages. It could be they're not giving, good packages for the employees to stay, or even, they're not moralized to stay. They don't want to, again, many factors could affect this. So the reason an LMIA is important is because it protects the employer and it also protects the employee in order to, to be able to make sure that everybody is good. So the Canadian government implemented the LMIA so that they can be able to protect both parties during the process. So the first thing is to protect Canadian job market. So again, an LMIA is to offer employees, to offer job offers to people. Like the employer has to have done, to offer the jobs to Canadians or permanent residents. So if you cannot find Canadian or a permanent resident, then you can go ahead and do the LMIA process. So the LMIA process does protect jobs for Canadians. So that's the first thing that, as an employer, you need to remember, that it's not to take away jobs from Canadians. So the first thing is to make sure that the Canadian job market is protected. The second thing about the LMIA is it validates the employer hiring decision. So the employer has to demonstrate that they have performed all recruitment efforts to ensure that they've exhausted all Canadian avenues. So I'll talk about that in the next slide. I'll talk more about that. So the other important thing is it facilitates work permits. So once an employer gets a positive LMIA, then they can be able to offer it to the employee to be able to apply for a work permit. And then the fourth thing is it ensures fair working conditions. So it doesn't mean that you've hired a foreign worker that you will be offering them low wages, way beyond the Canadian standards, or giving them non-conducive environment. So even if you're hiring foreign workers, you have to make sure that you're giving them the same environment as a Canadian worker. Okay, so there's 4 types of LMIAs. So the first is the high wage, the second one is the low wage, and then there's the seasonal agricultural workers, and there's the agricultural stream. So the high wage workers is, employers offering employment to foreign workers at a higher rate than the medium wage. And then the low wage is when the employer goes lower than the median wage And then seasonal and agricultural stream is very straightforward. These are seasonal jobs where farmers hire people to come in and work probably from the spring to the end of summer to help with planting and, any farm work. So if you have a farm and you're looking for seasonal workers, this is also a good option that you can use. So I'll talk about the high wage and the low wage in the next slide. So this is what, as an employer, before you can hire, the first thing is you have to decide, are you going to hire high wage or low wage? Okay, so if you're going to hire somebody on a high wage, this is the wage threshold by province or territory. As you can see, Manitoba, there was an increase in the median wage. If you look at Manitoba before November 8th, the median wage was $25. So there was a 20% increase, and now it's at $30. So if you're hiring anybody, a temporary foreign worker, to come and work for you in any position, and you're offering less than $30, that means it's going to be a low wage employment. So if you're hiring a foreign worker and you go over the $30, that means it's going to be a high wage employment. So once you figure out which wage you're going for, then now you can start your doing the LMIA process. The thing about this is there's different requirements. I find, in my opinion, low wage has a lot of work. There's a lot to do. You have to make sure you're providing, accommodation. There's more requirements in the low wage as compared to the high wage. But again, as a business, you have to weigh what, how you're performing to be able to decide, which one you can be able to afford to pay. Because again, if you cannot afford to pay $30, there's no way you can, say you're going to hire somebody and give them $30 and you can only afford $18. So again, you have to weigh your financial situation as a company and then decide where you want to go. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So business legitimacy documents. So these are documents that the government of Canada looks at before they can even, issue you an LMIA. So as a business, you have to prove that you're a genuine business before you can be issued a positive LMIA. So all job offers made by employers will be assessed to ensure that the business and the job offers are genuine and legitimate. Because again, you have to make sure that every document is genuine and every job offer being offered to a temporary foreign worker is legitimate. Go to the next slide. So the first thing you need to do as an employer is to prove you're providing a good or a service. So an employer must provide at least one document. So either a valid business license or a TIFO summary of revenue, that one paid, your most recent PD7A statement, or any other document that can be considered as proof of providing a good or service. So that's the first thing. You need to prove that you actually are providing a good or a service. The next one is reasonable employment need. So you need, as an employer, you need to prove that you do have a need for the employee. So you need to be able to provide job descriptions, which outlines the responsibilities, the roles of the employee that you're looking to hire, and the skills required. Because this document is what the foreign worker will use when they're applying for their work permit. So if the skills that you put in your LMIA don't match the skills that the worker will put in their work permit application, that means it will not be approved, right? Because it doesn't match. So you have to make sure that whatever skills you're looking for here is also, going to match the person that you're going to hire. And then you also, as an employer, you need to provide evidence of your recruitment efforts. Like we say, the LMIA is not to take jobs away from Canadians or permanent residents. So you have to prove that you have put out job offers, you've put out job advertisement, and you have not been able to secure, a Canadian or a permanent resident to work in that job. And then the third thing is the ability to fulfill terms of the job offer. So again, the first question you should ask yourself is, are you hiring high wage, low wage? If you're hiring high wage, can you pay that person? So if you're able to pay that person, then well, and, you can go ahead because you have the ability to fulfill the terms of the offer. If you cannot be able to demonstrate this, then the LMI application will not be approved. Things that we also look at is the salary, the benefits you're offering. It ties into what Esther and the previous presenter were talking about. What benefits, are you offering? What are the working conditions? So all this needs to be provided during the LMI application. And the reason for this is because once you've been approved, there is obligation as an employee. Like, you have to show that all these things that you're still, what is the word? You are still, like, if you said you're offering what's it called, housing, once the temporary foreign worker comes to Canada, you have to provide the housing. And Service Canada can come in and investigate if you're providing the housing or not. So you have to make sure whatever you offer you give, you're able to fulfill. Okay, we can go to the next one. And then obviously compliance. That's very important, that you have to comply with all federal or provincial laws, because if you don't comply with it, then that means your LMI will be revoked, and you'll also be imposed to pay fines. So you have to make sure you're keeping up with the labor laws, and everything that was in your application, like wages, working condition, needs to be adhered to the T. If you do not, then you will face, you'll be going against the federal or provincial laws. Okay, so the path to a positive LMIA. So LMIA process, like I said, it's employer driven, and it is a two-part process. So the first part is recruitment, where you're trying to find Canadians or permanent residents. And if you cannot find Canadians or permanent residents, then you move to the next process, which is now applying for the LMIA. Can go ahead. So the recruitment portion. Recruitment is, you obviously putting out a job, what is it called? A job post. And the requirement for job advertisement is you need to put the job advertisement in 3 places. So 1, it is mandatory to put it in the job bank. 2 is you need to put it into a job board that is national in scope. So one that covers, Manitoba, all provinces. And then the third requirement is you need to target minority. So anything that deals with the, the minority or the youth, so that would be the third job board. And then the second thing is recruitment efforts. You need to show that you have done everything possible to hire a Canadian, and you were not able to secure that. So you need to put, records. Like, for example, you've put up a job post in Job Bank. You can tell how many were Canadians who applied. You can tell how many were permanent residents. So you need to have that data out, in a report that you say, I had 10 Canadians, and out of the 10, all of them were invited to apply. Nobody applied, because that's a scenario that most employers face. You find, 500 people have applied, and out of the 500, 10 are Canadians. You offer them the job, but they don't apply. So that is a statistic that you can put in your application to prove that you tried, but they did not apply. Okay. The job posting needs to be advertised for a minimum of 4 weeks. And then it needs to include job titles, wages, location, job duties. And once the 4 weeks is done, you need to have, you don't have to maintain the 3. You can only have 1. You don't have to keep all the 3 running. So you can just have 1 running as you're doing the LMIA process. Okay. And then the other thing is documentation. You have, like I said before, you have to put records of all your recruitment activities, including copies of the advertisement, applications received, the reasons you rejected, and you rejected an applicant, or a reason why an applicant rejected you. Again, tying to Esther, you may not have given them, the right packages, and they rejected it. So that could be a reason why, an employee refused to take the job offer. So you need to put it down so that you can add that information into your LMIA application. Okay, so that's the recruitment portion. So after you've done the recruitment, now you come to the LMIA application. So this is where you send it to ESDC. So the employer needs to send in the application through Employment and Social Development Canada to demonstrate that they could not hire Canadians or permanent residents. So the ESDC will review the application, and once they've reviewed the application, there's only two outcomes that can come from that application, either positive or a negative LMIA. So positive LMIA means the employer can hire a foreign worker, or a negative LMIA means the employer cannot hire the foreign worker, and obviously they will give you reasons as to why your LMIA was rejected. This is additional information for the 4 provinces, so British Columbia, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Nova Scotia. You need, on top of the LMIA application, you need to get employer registration. So you need to go to your specific province to get the employer registration before you can apply for your LMIA. Okay, so the other thing is compliance. So once you've done your application to ESDC as an employer and you have a positive LMIA, your work doesn't stop there. You have to keep up with compliance with the federal and provincial government. So number one, you have to adhere to all the LMIA terms and conditions that you had on the posting. If there's any material change to the job, you have to notify ESDC. So that is very important, because if you do not notify them and they come in for an inspection and they find something different, then you're liable to be paying a fine. So any significant change, for example, the biggest example is I hired, let's say, Caroline to come in and work as an admin assistant, but I realized, oh, she's good, she can be a project manager. So I changed her job description from admin assistant to a project manager. That's a different position. So you can, before you do that change, you have to contact ESDC so that they can be able to, you do the changes right. And again, obviously, if you're moving them to a higher position, that means the wages change. So there's a lot of things that go on. So any significant change, you have to notify ESDC. Also, it could be a reduction in wages. So if you said you're paying them $20 and you realize, oh man, I can't pay $20, I can pay $18. If you go, you reduce the wages as well, you have to notify them. And then employers should keep records of the foreign worker, and the records must be kept for 7 years. If there's any significant changes to the worker status, for example, they didn't apply, they had a 1-year work permit and it expired. So you have to notify ESDC if there's such a significant change in the worker's status. Okay, so I'll talk about the frequently asked questions. One of the questions people ask is, how long does an LMIA take to the process? So the answer is the processing time varies. So like you remember I talked, there was 4 streams: agricultural, high wage, low wage. Each stream has different processing times. So you'd have to go through to the website to verify what the processing time is. The other question is, what is the cost for, to do the LMIA? So the cost for each LMIA application, actually for each worker, is $1,000. So if you're doing one LMIA, 5 workers in it, that is $5,000. How do I apply for an LMIA? Obviously, you have to go to the employer portal on the Government of Canada website to apply for the LMIA. What happens after an LMIA is approved? So once the LMIA is approved, the work has just begun. Now you have to offer that document to the foreign worker so that they can be able to apply for a work permit. So that doesn't mean they can start working. They have to go and apply for the work permit first, then they can come to work. The other frequently asked questions is, what if my LMIA is denied? So if your LMIA is denied, obviously the ESDC will give you reasons as to why it was rejected, and then it will give you you can reapply again if you have addressed the reasons of the refusal. And then the other question is, can I apply for multiple LMIA applications at once? Yes, of course, you can apply. Sometimes you find people have franchise businesses and they want to apply for different locations. You can apply for multiple LMIAs. And what are the consequences of not complying with an LMIA requirement? So failure to comply with LMI regulation can result in penalties, fines, and also revocation of the ability to hire foreign workers. And your business name will be highlighted on the website. So if you want to, if you don't comply, you will find yourself, highlighted that you haven't complied. And it is very common, actually. If you don't, they will put your name up on the website. So I think that was it. All right, so that was it. And yeah, that was quick and fast and the wrong PowerPoint.
Any questions for her?
I have a question.
Yes, a lot of questions.
Thank you so much for your presentation.
Yes.
I wanted to ask firstly about, you mentioned when a company has, say, a branch in another country, they can do intra-company transfers and they skip the LMIA process. So if I have a business here and I set up a subsidiary in another country, I can now transfer my workers.
Yes, we have to go through the requirements for intercompany, but it's possible. If the main activities are happening here, you can do intercompany transfers.
Please use the mic for the
Question, this mic.
Thank you.
Do you think most of the employees in fast food restaurants are here on LMIA?
Employees?
Yeah. In the fast food restaurants. Do you think they're here on LMIA?
Not all, but I would think it depends. Because again, most fast food, like again, high school students work in the fast food section. I find maybe specific restaurants, let's say if it's an African restaurant or Chinese restaurant, those I feel like they would have more LMIAs. But again, it doesn't mean that if you have a fast food, you cannot apply for an LMIA. Any business can apply for an LMIA if you meet the requirements.
Question from our online, Trudy. Do you have to pay for WCB in order to apply for LMIA?
No, you don't have to pay for WCB. It's just the 1,000. WCB comes after you've hired the employee, right?
Yeah.
Right. But if you offer that to your employees, it could be part of your application and say that, we will offer WCB to the employee when they start working in the company.
Okay. Okay, Trudy, if you have other questions to follow up.
Any other questions in the
I
room?
have to stand up.
Yes.
Ask questions.
How long is it valid for, the LMIA approval?
Ooh, I have to check on that. I think it is 1 year. There was a few changes that happened, and I think it's now they only give you a 1 year LMIA, but I will confirm that for you.
Hi, thank you for a wonderful presentation.
Yeah.
So when someone comes like through this stream, is there a certain length of time that they can work for you and then they can switch to try and go into like a permanent resident?
Oh, that's a very, very good question. One, if an employee comes to work for you through the LMIA, like Esther talked about retention. As an employer, you're retaining this person because they will have a closed work permit. They cannot work somewhere else.
Yes.
If they want to work somewhere else, they have to apply. And also, the other employer has to get an LMIA. And there are pathways to permanent residency. So, for example, if you're in Manitoba, you've worked for 6 months, you can apply for the provincial nominee program, right? Or if you've worked in Canada for 1 year and you get another extension, you can also explore Canadian Express Entry, which is also another federal program where once you've worked in Canada for 1 year and you meet all the eligibility, you can also explore that. So there are pathways to permanent residency.
Another question from online viewers. Can you renew an LMIA?
Yes, it's not called renewal, but you have to reapply. Because if it's a
Reapply,
1
okay.
year, and the good thing about the LMIA is once you've gotten a positive LMIA and you keep up with the obligation as an employer, the second time you're applying, it is easier because they've seen as an employer that you've kept up with your obligation and you've also, you've taken care of the employee as you say. So the second application is always easier. The first, is where you
little
have
bit
to
more
you
tedious,
have to
yeah.
really demonstrate that you are a genuine employer and you're going to offer genuine employment.
So on the lens of the employee, do they have to kind of like go back while you're processing the reapplication?
So that's where strategy comes in. And if, let's say, you're working with an immigration consultant,
Mhm.
if you see your LMI is almost done, again, you plan ahead.
Mhm,
Right?
yes,
For example,
okay,
right
makes
now,
sense.
farmers, if let's say it's a farmer who is looking, like the planting season starts in the spring.
Yes.
So you cannot start doing your LMI process now because it's too late. You start your process last summer
Yeah.
to be able to be ready for this summer. So it's the same
Yeah.
strategy an employer should use if they, intending to keep a worker.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Wow, great questions.
I know.
LMI is also required for if I want to hire a remote worker.
No, remote worker, because they're not
Coming.
to Canada.
They have to, like, the person has to work in
Yes.
Canada. So if it's remote work, but the person has to do the remote work in Canada, so that's also part of it.
Working for you,
Yes, I'm hiring someone to do remote work, but the person has to still.
that's
be in Canada.
considered employment. So you have to really to hire them. But it's a gray area. But you need to, because they are working for you and you're paying them here in Canada.
Yes.
So you would have to get an LMIA.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. But if they are outside of Canada, they are not here. So that's different. Any other
Wow.
question?
That was nice.
Okay, I think no more questions.
I just have an experience with this. When I had a baby and somebody told me I can do LMI,
Mhm.
and I didn't know you that time,
Mhm.
I would say. Or I was
I
trying
know.
to save money.
Yeah.
I would say that most people do.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get a babysitter. So I had to go through that process. I actually created a file, and then what she's talking makes now sense, because then Sierra was asking me to bring the payroll and all that stuff. I stopped because I couldn't figure out, right? But can you talk a
About
little
that?
bit about that?
Yes.
If people are having babies and they want to do LMI, is it
Okay.
possible now? or
It
not?
is possible because,
Okay.
again, you're looking to hire somebody to help you with. So again, it's still the same process, doing the advertisement and all that. But then, in terms of how to demonstrate that you can pay them, then you would have to use your T4 slips. Right. So whatever income that you're making. So let's say you make 200,000 a year, then you can put that in, and then also have a plan how much you're going to pay the person that is going to come to work for you. So it is possible. Any position, you can hire for any position as long as you meet all the requirements. Okay.
Wow. Let's clap for Carolyn.
Thank you so much.
So that marks the end of our event today. As I said, we are collaborating with business owners and expertise in the community to share what they have learned over the years and let people learn from those skills. And I'm very happy to say that as a business owner who attended today, you know exactly what to do, you know where to go. And this is actually a huge saving for all of us, because Caroline does this as a consulting, but she has answered all the questions as a support to the community, to create that awareness and support your business. So you have no excuse why you're struggling to retain people. We talked about the benefits that you can share with the employees, and then we have showed you, if you're having trouble to hire in Canada, you can still use that process of LMIA to empower your business so that you can create employment for others. And it's a two-way benefit from each one of us. So before I end the session, sorry?
Sorry to interrupt, but we have a feedback form for everyone. Can we flash that both in person and online? So before people sign off from the online streaming, we'd like to request you to scan the QR code. There you go. Scan the QR code and give us your feedback. We would love to hear your comments, topics that you want to learn more about. so that we can improve and serve you better moving forward. Okay, take it away, Esther.
Thank you. So as you scan that, I say when you come in person, we appreciate your time, we appreciate your presence, and it's my privilege right now to welcome all the business owners in the room. Those online, please, in the chat, let us know what your business is, how we can support you where you are, and we can tag you in whatever we are doing. So starting from here, Liz. You gave us Kelly Williams room to do this event, and we want to hear what you do, what your name is, what you do, and what people can benefit from.
Okay, yeah. Hi, my name is Udodiri Elizabeth Anyaka. I'm a real estate agent. I buy houses for my clients, more like I do home search for them. After they have done their pre-approval with their financial person, more like a mortgage person, I also assist in selling houses, and I also guide those who want to go into real estate as real estate investors as well. Thank you.
Great. So where people can find you, you need to leave your cards there, or?
Of course, you can come to Keller Williams, and you can also call me on my cell, which is 431-997-4844. Thank you.
Great. Now, talking about real estate, I think we have a mortgage broker in the room, so the two are connected. So who are you in the room? Who is a broker? Do we have any mortgage brokers in the room?
Can we use that?
Okay.
He can see you. Yes.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. My name is Dennis, and I'm a mortgage broker. I help clients who are looking to buy a house secure financing. So when you've made the rounds with Liz to look for the property, I help you put the financing together so you can buy the house. Yeah, I have more than 10 years of experience. I've been doing this since I was 16. No, I'm just kidding.
26.
Yeah. I've been doing this since I was 26. So you could do the math if you want to find out how old I am or how young I am. Yeah. So you can find me everywhere on Instagram, Mortgage Pro Maritime. So Mortgage Pro Maritime, that's how you find me on Instagram. On Facebook, first name, last name, Dennis Maritime. My cell phone number is 204-998-2919. I did that for everybody who's online. Yeah. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. We're very happy to hold your hand through the process. It is sometimes quite complicated, especially for first-time home buyers. And there's a lot of hand-holding that we'll do. And we'll do it countless times. I've done close to, let's say 350 million in mortgages over my career. And I've probably moved people to the tune of, let's say, 400 into new homes. And the way you want to think about it is, if I told you today to save 200,000 in 2 years, most people can, even if you're making a high income, right? But if I help you secure financing to buy a house in 2020 that you paid 350, and then in 2025, because of what happened during that year, during that period, the house is now worth 550. You just built $200,000 in equity that you would have otherwise faced challenges trying to save in liquid cash. So that's how we help build wealth for our clients. And that same wealth that's built in the home can be taken out in equity, which a mortgage broker can help you with. And you use it to invest in a business or you do other things. So yeah, there's more to that. If you have any questions, please.
Yeah, we'll have a session with that. For that session next.
Thank you.
Business owner on stage. Thank you, Dennis.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kamsi Yonaobi. I run Novlo Films. It's a video production company. My job is to help you put all of the knowledge, experience, and whole wealth of knowledge experience that you've gained over your years and record that in video format so that you can put yourself out there in all social media platforms so you can position yourself as a knowledge author in your space. So you can find me at novlofilms.com. You can also send me an email at novlofilms@gmail.com.
Thank you.
Great job. Next.
Okay, I'll go next because I'm gonna read the online. If you haven't shared with us online what you're doing, share it on the comments. I have Rosemary, who is a foot care nurse. Rosemary, share with us your website, email, phone number, whatever you want to share, so we can follow you. I'm Camille. I'm a marketing strategist, and I help you get your business online. And you here, how do you bring this into the next phase of the customer service? So your customer journey, so you're continuously nurturing the people that you meet. So that's what I do. You can find me at corecopywriting.ca, core copy on Instagram. So thank you. I hope you follow me. I'll follow you too.
Next, business owner or side hustle.
Oh, I thought Rosemary.
Rosemary is online.
Oh,
She
okay.
can't speak.
Rosemary is online, yes.
Oh, okay.
Ma'am, you want to say something?
Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Abigail Kawadza. I'm a small business owner. My business is Classy A Events, so I do event planning. So for all your graduation parties, bridal showers, weddings, any event planning, because planning events can really be stressful and time consuming. So I take that headache off of your hands. So I'm on Instagram, Classy A Events, as well as Facebook. Thank you.
Well done. Next, business owner.
Hello, everyone. I'm not a student. I'm a business owner too, although it looks like one. So I am Leah. I do run a virtual admin assistant or agency. So I do help small businesses, solo entrepreneurs, social media influencers, or whoever needs help with their admin task. I know it sometimes is very tedious, with bookkeeping, with following up with the clients, with streamlining anything that you need to for your business growth. We can help you out. Just let us know what you need, and then we can create a package for you. So my website is provirtualassistance.online. So email me info@provirtualassistance.online. My phone number is 431-293-5324. Again, it's 431-293-5324. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I really appreciate all the business owners and those online. Again, you don't have to worry about being a business owner. We talk about side hustle and we help each other because someone has to create an opportunity for another one, right? So that's why we're here to share with everyone what everyone is doing so that you can tap into someone's expertise. But before I end this, I need to acknowledge our brother who is doing all the technical support. Alfred, you want to say hi to people? Right? They may not see you. So he's behind the closed door to make sure that everything is working, and we really appreciate what you do. And on top of that, you know, he's a man of God, he's a pastor. So spiritually and all that stuff, you know, you can talk to him as well. Now, I have an official from my community, and I want to acknowledge she came here to support us. Pam, please come and say hi to my audience and just tell us what you learned today. Thank you. Yes, come on. This is my Kenyan Manitoba president.
Oh my goodness. Hi everybody, my name is Pamela Obonde. I have learned a lot in terms of so many things that have been said. I came here to learn and have learned, and to take out the information that I've learned to the people who are not here, who may benefit from what I have learned. So thank you very much for having me.
All right. Thank you so much, the online cruise. God bless you. The next event is April 3rd, Saturday, I believe. And we are going to be doing a lot of intense learning on how to become your own banker, right? Becoming your own bank will be the topic. And that will be the time I'll be getting my own practitioner as well. So I'll be launching myself in that space. We are looking for real estate investors, business owners, and people who want to leverage the infinite banking concept to run their errands and run their lifestyle. So if you're interested to learn more, Save the Date will have expertise to share with you what they have learned. I hope to see you then. Until then, let's connect on social media and other places. God bless us all. Until then, bye.